Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wall of Friends podcast, where we hang out and talk to your friends and ask them what inspires them, what scares them, and more. With you, your two hosts, William
and George.
and today we got my boy Bradley.
What's up?
What's
buddy?
up, man? How you been?
I've been pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Just give us a little brief background about yourself.
Yeah. So, well, I guess for the people that are just listening and not watching, I've got one hand. And I was born without my hand, and that. I mean, it definitely was a challenge. One of the things that I kind of struggled with a little bit growing up, and I am a business owner. Own Limitless Nutrition, and we currently service pretty much all of the Central Arkansas area. But we do like healthy meal prep. And we're kind of playing around with a couple new things, but we basically are trying to do everything like health food. And it's just like a platform where you can get on there and you can order whatever you want online, and we just happen to deliver locally. So it's an e-commerce business, but we're like a local business still. Other than that, I enjoy flying. I enjoy supercars. My dad was a private pilot, so for a long time I grew up just literally going to like these ridiculously rich people's airport hangars and seeing their private jets and their helicopters and their cars. And so that has definitely inspired me a lot. So
Heck yeah, man. With that, let's throw the intro music.
Yes, sir.
Wait, so your dad was a pilot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was the guy that got paid like $500 a day to go stay in a hotel with these like business owners and just be on call. And then if they needed to leave, then they would leave. But he would just pretty much go on trips with people.
So would he get paid for like the night and then plus the ride? I'm guessing.
I
just-
honestly don't know. Like,
or did he work?
I don't know fully.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that he was a freelancer, so it was kind of just I think different depending on who he was working for.
Okay, yeah.
Type
I
of
mean,
thing.
I don't know. I never like called up a pilot. Hey, it's not like I'm
We ain't got
asking
that
for-
much money right
I
now.
asking for myself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I can barely order an Uber now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I'm a, somewhat struggling entrepreneur. So, yeah, I mean, like, there was this one guy that he would fly. He was the owner of Mack Trucking Company, and he had a little airport hangar out of North Little Rock,
Yeah.
and it was like the very front of this hangar was like office spaces.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a nice office space. I think it was like just for his personal whatever. He had like an assistant in there.
Yeah.
And then a little bit further back, you had it was so random. It was a woodworking shop because he just enjoyed woodworking, so he had a whole woodworking shop. And then the next section behind that was like actually the hangar where he had like a Falcon 10, which is like it's a really nice jet. I don't know as much about helicopters. He had a helicopter,
Yeah.
and then he had like 3 Mercedes just chilling in there, and it was just like.
His showroom or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like a very impressionable age. I was like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
8 at the time.
I think anyone really would be. I don't think there's
I'll
an
be
age
impressed right
limit,
now,
yeah.
man.
I'd be like, nice, cool.
Yeah. So I mean that yeah, that was pretty wild actually. Thinking back on it.
So how'd you guys meet? How did this friendship went about?
That splash, bro.
That splash.
That splash.
I'm really anal about my car being clean all the time.
Yeah.
So I go through splash way too much.
Really? You get there 24/7?
Well, I get my car washed every morning as like part of my routine.
Yeah.
And then like every 2 days, I drive it through the interior detailing to have the interior cleaned. I gotta keep it clean. Like,
Well, and also I'm sure it's part of your business or whatever, right?
yeah. So I mean, I deliver food in
Yeah.
it as well as meeting with other business owners and just like
Right. You
pretty
gotta.
much it's not even necessarily like a business thing for me. It's more so just that I want to be the type of person that has a really clean car all the time.
I was getting to like that's also speaks volumes of you. You know what I'm saying? If you like to keep your car clean, you probably like to keep your business clean, your house
Right.
clean.
Right.
It's just like goes more than just keeping a car clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So talk a little bit about your business and like what made you want to start it.
Okay, so not gonna lie, I was, God, this is 2018, and I got together with Michaela, and I had been doing personal training, and she had been doing some personal training, and I had a client that this was like around the holidays, right? Of
If you can just put
2018.
the mic a little closer.
right here.
Yeah.
Can you hear it better now?
Yeah, I think so. It's just I guess the way we see it, because we see the waves.
You can see sounds, dog.
Yeah. I mean, since we're recording, yes, we can.
Yeah. I got you. I'll hold on to it and I'll like slowly start doing this without paying attention.
That's all good.
Yeah. Where was I? What was I saying?
Sorry. You were with your girlfriend, Michaela.
Yeah. I was with girlfriend Michaela. And oh my gosh, there's so many funny stories. I had this one guy that he couldn't get his diet right. Like he was struggling really bad. He was like eating McDonald's and shit.
Bro, that's me right now.
Facts,
But
me.
the thing is, he was paying me to train him, and like he was paying me like $600 a month, like a significant amount of money to train him because he was like getting into.
You're gonna get married. That's what usually people pay so much.
Well, no, he was actually getting into WWE.
Oh, really?
No way.
Yeah, so like that was like, yeah, he's pretty cool dude. But
Did he make it?
I mean, he's still doing it, so yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't think he's had very many like live, like on TV airings.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually caught up with him in a while, so I'm not sure where he's at, what he's doing. Yeah, but he was really struggling with his diet, and finally I was like, dude, you're wasting your money, you're spinning wheels, you're not gonna get any results if you don't like just let me help you. So I meal prep my food all the time anyways, just let me cook your food for you. And then he gave me $100, cooked a week's worth of, literally it was crock pot chicken with barbecue sauce on it and green beans and brown rice, and I think I might have done like one little thing for breakfast. And it was like the macros technically fit for him, but it was terrible. It was like the worst food. But anyways, he ended up doing that for like 3 weeks. He made more progress in those 3 weeks than he had in the past like 3 months.
Whoa,
because he actually got his diet right.
Yeah.
And he was, eating better. And then once he realized, how good it was for him, he started like referring a couple friends, and Michaela got some of her clients on board. And within just a few months, we were actually servicing more meal prep clients than we were personal training clients.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Out of our, not even out of our kitchen. At the time, we were both like, I was, I don't want to lie.
Speaking around. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure like how old we were, but we were both pretty young, and we were like, I was still technically living with my parents.
Yeah.
And she was still living with her parents.
Right.
And we didn't have like a kitchen to cook out of because neither one of our parents' houses were like big, and so we ended up cooking out of my grandma's kitchen.
Really?
Really?
Shout out grandma.
Yeah,
Grandma coming in clutch.
dude. Yeah, so we were cooking in my grandma's kitchen, and we did that for like probably 2 months. But I didn't realize, like, I wasn't very good at cooking because, like, Michaela was like, "Yo, you gotta let me help you because you are terrible at cooking." And so I was like, "All right, yeah, let's do this." So she did a lot of the coming up with the recipes and actually cooking, and like I was the dish. Yeah. Like I literally just like would clean
The
and
bus
like
boy.
pretty much, yeah. Like
Yeah.
like in the kitchen, like I literally just did dishes, like took out trash and just that, And
Right.
and I did other stuff other than that, like like I've kind of talked more to our clients and did like I guess at that point it wasn't even customer service. It was just like I talked to everybody pretty much,
Yeah.
Which that was nice whenever it was like at that size. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's able to be a lot more personal with everybody and
Right.
whatnot.
More one-on-one, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. more like I felt like I was just like helping my friend group out more
Yeah.
than anything. So that was a really important time for me. So after a few weeks of cooking out of my grandma's house, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to put grease down the drain. And we were cooking at the time probably like 50 pounds of ground turkey a day.
Oh,
day.
wow.
A day. And we
That's-
had like 2 cook days a week. We had 2 cook days a week.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds of turkey. And like there was all this grease and I was just dumping it down her drain. And I was like, she's got a garbage disposal. It's fine. And I don't know why I didn't think about the fact that that stuff gets hard like in the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one day we left and we went home. We had gotten done. And like my Aunt Karen, she technically like owns the house. And she was like, called me and she was like yelling at me. She was like, what the hell did you do in this kitchen? You backed up all the septic tank. And like I'd put so much grease down the freaking drain
Yeah.
that the pipes got so backed up in the house that there was like water and noodles flooding
coming back
into
yeah.
like the bathrooms, and one of the bathrooms overflowed so bad that they had to rip the fucking carpet out of our bathroom.
No way.
Yes.
That's an expensive mistake.
Luckily, it was family. I didn't have to pay for it. But my grandma pleasantly asked us, "Hey, don't cook in my
Don't
kitchen
use my
anymore
kitchen no
after
more."
this."
Yeah.
So then we went to Michaela's grandmother's house.
Just switching up
Yeah,
grannies.
we literally did. We went over to Michaela's nanny's house.
The whole switcheroo.
We went to Nanny's house, and we ended up breaking one of her double ovens. But anyways, we were cooking a lot of food at this point. Dude, yeah, it's crazy reflecting back on all this because you forget like
How it all started.
Yeah, how it started. Like, you know,
Really
really
y'all
grateful.
messed up the grandma's houses.
Yeah, I'm really glad you guys invited me out. Seriously, like, thank you for this.
Of course,
No, yeah,
man.
thank you
Super
for
grateful.
coming
Yeah.
and taking the time to just sharing your story with us.
Yeah,
We're excited to learn.
It means a lot, man.
Yeah.
for sure. Well, I look forward to being friends with you guys for a long time.
Oh yeah,
Heck
for
yeah.
sure, no
Heck
doubt.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be fun.
absolutely.
So, you know, we were at her nanny's house at this point, and it was around this time that, you know, her grandmother passed away. Not her nanny, but on her mom's side of the family, not her dad's side. We were
Yeah.
cooking out of her dad's side of the
Okay.
family. It's
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
like nanny. But we were, so her grandmother passed away, and during that time period, we didn't really have a apartment or a house or anything. We were literally staying in a camper that was like in her nanny's backyard at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was like crazy difficult time. Like, talk about just wanting to quit
Yeah.
so bad and having no light at the end of the tunnel. That was like one of those times for sure.
Right. Yeah.
How long was that? Like, how long did y'all stay there?
Months, like probably 3 months.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, like we had a little bit of business at this point, but like we didn't have the money to go get like a place to actually have a kitchen or anything like that.
Right.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
we didn't have the money to invest in anything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we were still barely paying our bills. And we ended up, we just kind of took a big risk and we got our first apartment together. And it was, you might know where this is at. It
Right.
was in the Fairways, off of Spring Hill Road over there.
Okay. Oh,
You know what I'm
okay.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Like right, literally like on the interstate, like
yeah.
around the loop. Like right
Oh,
there.
like by the church.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
We got a 2-bedroom apartment there, and we kept cooking meals. We stopped doing personal training, and we turned that into a sweatshop. Like it,
Yeah.
like talk about, we had every circuit loaded up in the house with like crock pots and
No way.
like we had crock pots. We had crock pots in the bedroom at one time.
Oh my god.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was some trap house shit. Like it
Yeah.
was really sketch. Like I bet if anybody were to like, if the police were to look at like our electricity usage, that
yeah.
it would have been a red flag. 100%.
Right, for
Like,
sure.
They would have been like, "What the are they doing? in here?
Yeah.
Cooking meth up in
It's just chicken, officer. I swear. So we got to where we were doing like. I had this little spreadsheet of like clients, and it started out with like 10 people. I remember whenever we were in the camper, we had like 10 or 12 people.
Yeah.
Just like our friend group, pretty much.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it was fairly
Friends-
consistent.
Friends in the gym, yeah. And we went to this apartment, and that's whenever I first started playing around with like actually getting like a website set up
Yeah.
and not just texting everybody being like, hey, this is what we're cooking this week, how many do you want? Like, we actually got a website set up.
Right.
I started playing around with like posting on Facebook, but not necessarily like
Marketing.
Yeah, not
Making
necessarily
it a big deal
marketing.
or anything.
Yeah. I didn't have money to like do paid ads at all
Right. Yeah.
at the time, and so we just got that organic growth, and we got we got to a point where we were cooking 500 meals a day out of this
Oh my
this
gosh.
apartment. Yes.
Every single day from.
No.
Oh.
So we would have 2 cook days a week
Oh,
because
okay,
it was
right,
like it was like
right.
weekly meal prep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it
yeah,
was
yeah.
still 500 meals a day.
No, that's still
So
a lot.
we
Yeah,
were
like it's a
cooking-
thousand meals a week, right?
Yeah, I mean, like one of our cook days was a little smaller, so probably like 700 a week.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but like a good amount.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot. There was like I remember the biggest day we had was literally like 500 and change, and it was like it was me, Michaela's at the time 15-year-old little brother. We literally sent him a text. We were like, "Hey, you want to make $100?" And he was like, "Maybe." He ended up
So what
coming
time
over.
did you have to wake up?
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, what time did y'all wake up? What time did y'all go to bed? Like, did it take all day long?
I mean, we woke up and we would get started about like 8 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We would grocery shop the day before, load up the refrigerator, and we would just like, I forgot about this, but we actually didn't have enough refrigerator space. So her nanny, like Michaela's nanny,
Yeah.
she had this big refrigerator on her back porch that we used specifically for meals. So we would like haul meals from our apartment like 10 miles down the road to her nanny's house, and load half of these meals like in her refrigerator, and then we'd put some meals in like the camper refrigerator, and we put some
Oh my
meals
God.
like
Everywhere.
in her
Yeah.
actual refrigerator and
Yeah.
house. Like there was meals flowing everywhere, and like it was so weird at that time because we didn't have like a place where it was all centralized. So it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we were trying to figure out the logistics of it, and it just like at the time we were still just having everybody pick up from our apartment.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we weren't doing delivery or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, we were doing like 500 meals a day. It was like me, Michaela, her little brother Connor, and her mom would come help us every now and then. And we would wake up at like 8. We'd cook until 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
All day
That's
long,
insane,
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I mean, that just brings back memories because our family, we at one time we had a food truck. So then I remember like for big events, my mom would wake up like at 3 in the morning
Yeah.
and start prepping for the big
See,
day.
she started early. We just got started at a normal time because we knew we were gonna be late anyways. So we just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, she started
Yeah.
like at 3 or 4 in the morning. Would wake up and then we would go to the event, and usually would last till like
We'll be there all day.
all
pretty
day
much.
till like 7 or 8 in the
Yeah.
afternoon, like at night. And
So I
then,
remember, like, I pretty much worked with her, like, full time when we had it. And I remember, like, right after we had games, because I played football. And, like, we had footballs on Fridays. And then if it was a long trip, we would come back, like, late at night. But I remember that next day, we would go to, like, BB, which there's, like, a flea market there.
yeah.
I would have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And then literally drive over there to BB, which is like 1 hour from like Benton where they live, and then literally work there from like be there like at 6 in the morning, and then we'll leave like at 1. So pretty much
that's
all morning.
really crazy.
After like a football game, they already had it just sucked. Literally did that for like 4 or 5 years straight.
Yeah, I can relate to that really hard.
Yeah.
Cause like there's, I mean now like, well, yeah, I mean there's been a lot of stuff. We've been in multiple locations. We've been in and out of business partnerships. You know, I mean, where we're at now. Do you know where Tinseltown is at?
Yeah, I remember you telling me this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got that. We've got like a 3,000 square foot facility.
Oh, congrats.
It's expensive too.
I could imagine.
Yeah,
So
it's like 3,000 square feet. We've got 4 industrial refrigerators, and we've got a couple industrial freezers. We've got just trying to give you an idea. We've got, I think, 12 stainless steel prep tables.
really,
Yeah,
that's
like
a lot.
the really
Yeah.
big long ones. We've got a couple like double ovens stacked and everything, but I mean, all of that to be said, like we've got a lot bigger facility now. We can handle a lot more. We'll do anywhere from 1,800 to 3,000 meals in a day now, and we've scaled up a lot. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like right now, where we're at, I've like it's not even that I've like lost passion for what I do or anything, but I just feel like there's other stuff that I'm about to start doing and kind of moving into. That's a big thing that I'm like learning how to do is listen to my intuition a little bit better, and just kind of understand like that I already know what I need to be doing. I just need to listen to myself.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, for a long time we've been just like staying up super late, having late cook days and this
just
and that.
the grind.
Right. And we're about to change the way that we do business a lot. And I haven't really talked to very many people about this, but like we're looking at the possibility of like not doing a large cook day anymore.
Okay.
And just breaking it up throughout the week and like having different time slots essentially where people can get delivery or pick up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be like throughout the week a lot more. And also, I mean, this is a side note, but with the state that the economy is in right now and like where costs are going, which is up, truck drivers are like about to stop working like, big time. And whenever that happens, a lot of these larger corporations could crumble.
Right.
Like a lot of the food distributors and people like that depend on truck drivers.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like, I don't know if that's going to happen. That's a possibility though.
Well, I've heard like there's a shortage of like truck drivers, like big time.
Nobody wants to do it right now.
Yeah.
Their costs are so much because of their fuel, fuel usage and everything
I didn't even
else.
know about this.
Yeah. And so because of that, I mean, what I think is going to happen is that, there's going to be something like there's going to be a big collapse because of like everything that's happening with like with like the cost of fuel
or the houses, like all the houses right now, house market's like insanely up.
It's inflated.
Yeah, and
the
like
entire market's inflated
and
really
once
bad right now.
it goes up eventually, it's just a matter of time before it goes down. So it's just
right. Well, and like with the food, like what I think is going to happen with that is like a lot of these big box companies that depend on freight, like being like not freight necessarily, but like what am I trying to say?
Like,
transportation of goods.
Like the Maverick transportation trucking company or whatever.
Just like companies like that. Like, once those people stop working, then Kroger isn't going to have food in their shelves, and they're gonna have to pay more people. They're gonna have to pay their drivers more, and then their costs are gonna go up so much that it doesn't make sense. And then a lot of people are gonna turn back to their local markets, and then I think that's gonna cause a whole spiritual awakening because people are gonna become more grounded. They're gonna start eating foods like they had been eating for hundreds of years, and we've also been thinking about doing that with our business and moving towards that, working with local farmers.
Yeah. Okay.
In order to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did that, it would be a massive change.
Yeah.
Like it would be
like a new game plan, or basically you're restructuring your business.
Well, yeah, it would absolutely be a restructure because we'd have to go from, okay, we need tomatoes. Let's just call it in at Bennekeith and it'll be here, tomorrow. It'd go from that to be, okay, every single cook day, we've got to go to farmers markets and talk to our farmers to figure out what kind of foods we have to work with this week.
Yeah.
And if we did that, we would absolutely see a drop in our revenue and our customer base.
Right.
But also, I mean, that's not always necessarily a bad thing.
No,
You
yeah.
know? I feel like that would be a more in alignment with what our values are as a company.
Right, yeah.
And so, like, moving that direction, it's healthier. It's better for you. You're eating food that is
locally grown.
Yeah, literally, like, if you get local grass-fed beef where the animal is actually eating, like, out of a field, compared to it's cooped up in a pen covered in its own being fed corn that has no nutritional value, well, guess what? Now you're eating flesh off of an animal that was deficient in all these nutrients, so now you're going to be deficient.
It's good point. Never thought about it that way. How about you share a little bit about before, like, your childhood and your upbringing and like what made you the person who you are today? I know you mentioned a little bit about how, like, your dad was like a private, pilot person, and just share your childhood experience and how you are the person who you are today.
It was full of anxiety. I definitely had a lot of anxiety around just, for one, other people looking at my arm growing up as like a 6, 7, 8-year-old, especially. Anytime you talk to other kids at that age, kids ask a lot of questions, and the first thing they see is their eyes get big and they're like, oh, what happened to his arm? And like, kids are going to do that, like now I understand, but like back then that definitely traumatized me a little bit. And I've got, tons of trauma from stuff like that. I didn't have to experience any big trauma as far as losing my hand or, getting attacked by a shark or anything like that. Like,
have you ever like messed with somebody like, hey, I got attacked by a shark or an alligator or
dude,
something?
all the time. It's the most fun thing ever. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the wildest story you came up with that someone just looked at you and was like, there's no way this guy's alive?
Okay, so walking through Kroger, right? Somebody's like, oh, dude, like, what happened to your arm? Are you a veteran?
Wait, speak up a little bit.
Okay. Sorry. So,
we couldn't see no waves.
We can see the waves, bro. If I'm walking through like Kroger and somebody's like, and this is like the most outrageous thing, right? But like, if I'm like walking through Kroger and somebody's like, all right, so, dude, like, what happened to your hand? Like, are you like a veteran or something? Like, no, it's a really weird story, and I feel really uncomfortable sharing this, honestly. But like, I was just like masturbating one day, and like, dude, you don't want to know the rest. You don't want to know the rest, and just like turning around and walking away really quickly. Like, that's like the most awkward. Like, people are just like, what the. Like, I've done that like once to somebody that I didn't know, and that was like the most like, just I had to go back. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, that was like a total joke. Like,
they were probably like trying to just come up with you like, thank you for your service, for being a veteran. And you just telling them what you were doing.
Like, nah, dog, I was touching myself. No, I mean, and like, there's different things for different people. I mean, whenever little kids ask now, a lot of times I'll be like, look at their parents and like kind of wink at them and be like, watch this. And I'll be like, okay, look, I was running in the house one day with a pair of scissors and I slipped and fell and I just lost it. And you don't, young kid, a lot of anxiety. Trying to kind of get back to where we were at. Yeah, crap. So I forgot to mention this, but I guess this is where I was kind of going. I was homeschooled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was homeschooled. And I lived out, y'all know where Hensley is at? Hensley, Arkansas? East End area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you keep driving past that Splash, you keep going, you turn left at that stoplight where
Splash?
or maybe no.
East End's like down here, right?
East End is like, yeah, where Interstate 530, if you take Interstate 530 going towards like Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
It's like halfway to Pine Bluff.
Okay.
It's like way out in the middle of the woods. I found out pretty recently actually that I lived on I always knew that I grew up like in the woods.
By Redfield, maybe?
Yes. It's one exit away from Redfield.
Okay, yeah.
So
I was way off.
You was like Splash.
Nah. So I grew up out there, and I just recently discovered this, but I knew that I lived on the edge of a hunting club, but like we never had access to the hunting club. That was like we were too broke for that. But
Yeah.
we like our house backed up to all this forest that just like went and went and went
Forever,
and, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I used to like just go way out there and like shoot at squirrels and stuff like that, and cut down trees and random shit. But I grew up out there. Like, anyways, what was I trying to say? I totally lost my train of thought.
You were homeschooled.
Yeah, I was homeschooled.
And then
Dude, I had something I was gonna say, but I totally forgot. I'm just tripping. Anyways, we got to leave that blooper in there though. Those are the best parts. So I was homeschooled, and you know, a big insecurity for me for a long time was that I wasn't a smart person because of that. Because that might sound kind of weird, but like I pretty much stopped doing a lot of my curriculum after 8th grade because I just didn't have interest in it. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then, you know, it was like a lot of, I just took interest in business, and I took interest in marketing and psychology, and like, you know, I've read a lot. Like I read a crap ton of books during that time period of just like, you know, not really doing any type of curriculum or anything like that, but like I definitely was still learning.
yeah, like self-growth.
Yeah,
Sort of thing. Yeah.
Self-education. And you know, my parents encouraged me to get a GED and go to school, and I just knew that school wasn't going to be for me. For one, I had a lot of anxiety around a classroom because I've never been to one, and so I was like,
yeah,
no, I'm not going to do that.
yeah.
So you never went to like a high school or a college?
No, never.
No.
I've been to one after, like, you know, a couple years ago. I went to one to speak, but that was my first experience in a high school.
Did you feel that anxiety?
Not really at that point, no, because I
You're
wasn't
already comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I overcame a little bit of those, you know, insecurities, but I, you know, my parents encouraged me to like get my GED and go to college, and I was like, I'm just gonna get a job. So I started working at my, you know, Aunt Karen's boat shop, sweeping floors, and that kind of gave me the confidence that, you know, okay, I know I can be a hard worker, so I'm just gonna go get a job somewhere. I don't want to go to college, so I went and I got a job at freaking Kirkland's.
Where's that at?
It's like an interior decoration store where a bunch of old ladies and people like that go. And some hot moms, but mostly old ladies. And so I got that job, and I was like, well, okay, I got a job, so now I don't need a GED. So I just never got my GED. I never got any type of formal education whatsoever. And honestly, like for a long time, like really from the age of like probably 17 until honestly like 20, I had this really big mental block of like, man, like I don't know if I'm like, I don't know if like how much these other people that went to high school know. Like I just felt like I was like missing out on that, and was like, had insecurity about being dumb for a long time. And then I started like realizing that, dude, public school, traditional public schooling doesn't really teach people very much. Doesn't. So what I mean by that is the way that I taught myself a lot of things, like the way that I taught myself like how to work out, having one hand, was by doing and watching and learning and taking my own interest in it, and then taking actionable steps, making a plan and then taking actionable steps. Well, you know, I mean, this is just my opinion, but with public school, like if I'm trying to learn how to shoot a bow, sit me down at a desk and give me presentations and teach me exactly how to be an expert at shooting a bow.
That's not gonna happen ever.
Can't be done, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just kind of like, yeah, just a little rant about public schools. I'm not gonna get all into that though.
So who has been someone you've looked up to your whole life, you know, that you kind of like try to be like them or strive to be like them?
A few people. One person is absolutely my dad. I mean, he kind of got me into reading at a very early age, and I cannot thank him enough for that, because that has been the single most impactful thing in my entire life. The fact that he taught me how to self-educate is incredible. Like, most people don't get that. And so super grateful for him. Honestly, my mom, for being as supportive and as loving of a mother as she's been, has been just like really, like, my mom's a special person. Like, she's so sweet. I love my mom. And then, you know, and I'm working towards becoming as forgiving and loving of a person as my mom is, because I'm not right now. Working on that. And, you know, somebody that was probably one of the first people that I really took an interest in educating myself. I was like watching YouTube videos on and about cars. I think it was a supercar video or something like that. I've always liked supercars, you know. I don't know. We were talking about this before, but did I mention about my dad being a pilot and all that? Like,
Yeah, a
on
little
the
bit.
podcast?
Yeah.
So, like, growing up around private jets and stuff like that.
Right.
And, like, really wealthy business owners and stuff like that. Seeing supercars and whatnot. I just took an interest in those things, and I kind of never saw that as not a possibility.
Yeah.
Because I saw people having it. And so
Right,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, this is kind of
It's possible. It can be done.
Yeah. And so always loved, like, drawing cars. Drawing the Lamborghini Gallardo is probably, like, my most famous drawing.
Yeah.
From my grandma. And so I was watching a video on YouTube about this supercar. Don't even know what it was, but I got hit with a ad for Ty Lopez.
I knew you were gonna say Ty Lopez.
Yeah, I literally
Scammer, bro.
I literally got hit with an ad for Ty Lopez.
If you want to be better, read. This book is the one that got me the Lamborghini or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, you joke. I was one of the kids that bought his course, and it changed my life.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Which course did you buy?
67 steps.
Okay.
It was the one that ad was for.
Fair enough.
And so, anyways, that, you know, he gets a lot of flack because he's a funny looking dude, and, you know, he's like, I'm here in my garage with my Lamborghini, you know, whatever. But he, you know, the purpose behind what he does is that he wants to impact kids and get them interested in reading by leading them with objects that they want.
Right. Yeah.
So leading by reward instead of leading by punishment, which our culture does.
Yeah.
So Ty Lopez is actually pretty smart.
Yeah. No, he's the way he's doing his storytelling. He's telling you two different stories. One by showing you the object, and the other one by telling you what to do. So it's like selling two different stories in one whole video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the 67 steps, you know, that was probably the first like course that I went through.
How old were you at that time?
16 or 17.
Okay.
Pretty young. Yeah. And dude, it was a big deal. I was like, man, $67. Like, I was like adding up how many days I'd have to work, like 4-hour shifts and making $7 an hour to get there. And I was like, it's a big investment, but I ended up doing it. And, the reason I took an interest in it is because my dad actually got me to read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, I've heard of the book.
He handed me that book, and I was like 15 at the time. And for whatever reason, I started reading it, and I was like, a home is not an asset. Like, I understand what assets are, like, you know, assets versus liabilities and stuff like that. And so, whenever I started going through the 67 steps, that was like a really big, like, just influx of different types of knowledge. Like, he put that course together with the intention of, giving somebody that is just starting to try to develop a better mindset, all the tools that somebody might need.
Yeah.
Just starting out. So like that was really, really impactful. Definitely going to meet Ty Lopez one day and like shake his hand and thank him for that, because that was really impactful. And then from there, I mean, I was introduced to authors through that. I was introduced to, so many, but I mean, Will and Ariel Durant, just trying to think of a few, Attached. I'm struggling for the books that I learned through that because I haven't read them in a while. Happiness Hypothesis, psychology book that kind of, has helped a lot as far as, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many things. Like, I can't even really mention, everything. But that kind of led me down this self-development path. And me and my cousin Chris both got into that. And it absolutely set us up for success in business. Just because, I mean, by the time that we were 19, we had read probably 50 books each in business, psychology, and marketing. Like, we became some self-educated.
Right, yeah. Yeah, 50, that's a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, I need to read more. I'm not the best at staying consistent with reading, especially whenever you get busy with life and work and drama and girls.
Right,
and
yeah.
all the things. So, yeah.
So I guess that step course or whatever set that foundation to set you up for this new business that you have, right?
Yeah. Well, I definitely had probably 4 failed businesses before I had this one.
Really? Would you mind talking about them? Or?
Yeah. So, started very first business with Chris, my brother cousin, as I call him, because we were technically raised as siblings in a way. We started doing YouTube together, and we were such nerds. We got into FaZe Clan, Call of Duty.
Really?
Yeah, we got so into that, and we were like, we're gonna be expert YouTubers on Call of Duty, and like we got the Elgato gaming capture cards, we got the Astro A40 headset, we got the Scuff controller. Like, we saved our money and did this. And I think it amounted to him getting about 400 subscribers and me getting about 300, and then we quit because we were like, well, this isn't making us money fast enough.
Yeah.
Which, is a trap that a lot of people fall into, and that's,
right, yeah.
Just a scarcity mindset that we were in at the time. And, we started doing landscaping because we were like, we can just cut yards and we can make money quicker. And so we started cutting grass. I used my dad's old broken down dinosaur of a push mower.
Yeah.
And we saved money, and then we got, a nicer mower, and then we got, we ended up having like a pretty good amount of equipment. And we had like 10 or 12 yards that we would cut. And I mean, we were making like $20 an hour doing that. Like, we were crushing it,
Yeah.
But it was in the sweltering heat, and it sucked. And then we would just, go home and we'd smoke weed and play video games for the rest of the night. And there was a couple close calls with that. We almost got caught. It was crazy. And then, eventually we were like,
you do know this is going to air and release, right?
oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a very transparent person. I've told my mom, literally, like, my mom, like, I was in the kitchen one day cooking, and my mom helps us now, and we were talking, and somebody asked me, one of our employees asked me, like, Bradley, what's the most reckless thing, what's the most illegal thing you've ever done? And I was like, well, not gonna lie, dude, one time I smoked weed and I walked into Starbucks and I had a full-on conversation with a police officer, and it was great. And so like that was funny. What were we talking
I'm
about?
talking about your sorry again got distracted about your landscaping business and then that you
Your 4 businesses
Yeah.
that failed
I
before you
think it was
started.
4. Yeah, so we did the landscaping stuff, and that was really whenever I started getting into like branding and marketing, right?
yeah
So like
yeah
whenever we first were doing it, like it would be like, okay, you know, we're just cutting yards, and then we were kind of doing this, you know, and eventually we kind of like got more into the Tai Lopez stuff and the learning
Yeah.
about business and the marketing and psychology and all of that. And we started developing like an actual brand where it was like we were going to call it MyScape so that people could say, who do you use? Oh, I use MyScape. Like, you know, it's
yeah.
an awesome name. And like we were going to run with that. And
Almost sounds like MySpace.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we were getting ready to do that because we were like, yeah, we can make a ton of money. We'll be doing this. It's going to be awesome. And we ended up going to a entrepreneur meetup in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And it was hosted by Pejman Gadimi, who has been an amazing mentor of mine. He's got a lot of great books. Third Circle Theory, gotta plug that because anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship needs to go read that book.
What was it again?
It's called The Third Circle Theory by
Okay.
Pejman Gadimi.
Making a mental note.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I mean, it talks a lot about consciousness and perspectives, and a lot of
Yeah.
people, you know, don't understand it because they're like, it's just there's no practical advice in this book. It's like, well, no, you just don't see it because it's all philosophy.
Yeah.
There's definitely practical stuff in there too, but anyways, so you know, we were getting ready to do this whole MyScape thing. We were talking about how we were going to have employees and this and that, and we were literally 17 at the time. And we went to this entrepreneurial meetup in Fort Lauderdale with Pejman Gadimi. He hosted it, and I think he was just getting started with it because there was only like 20 people there.
Really?
Yeah, it was like very one-on-one.
You got lucky then.
Yeah, and so we went to a Cars and Coffee thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was at, and we went to this coffee shop, and we pull up, and there's people pulling up in Lambos. And I'll have to show you a picture. I've got a picture standing in front of a one-of-one masonry Bugatti Veyron.
Oh,
Oh
my
my
god.
Like, dude, that changed my life, dude. Like, this guy pulled up, and we were talking to some other people there that actually knew the people that were coming, and
Yeah.
they were like, this guy's worth a B. Like, he's a billionaire. It's crazy. And yeah, he owned like an $8 million car. Insane stuff. So that affected us a lot. But it was funny, whenever we went to the coffee shop to do this meetup, Pejman was already there. So like the guy hosting it, he got there first. He pulled up in a Aston Martin, and he gets out,
Oh, wow.
and we're like, we got there early, and we were just like there talking with him, and he was like, so what are y'all doing? Like, what do y'all want to do? And we were like, well, we don't really know what we want to do yet, but we're just focused on making money right now. So we're like doing this landscaping thing. He was like, have you read this book? And we were like, yeah, we read your book. And he was like, go read it again because you don't understand it. You don't need to do what's going to make you money. You need to do what you're passionate about. And that's going
Right.
to
Yeah.
bring you more than just money, but also that is
Joy.
that's
Yeah.
going to
That
get
happiness,
you to the
yeah.
money, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, just standing there like, oh my gosh, like this guy's so smart. And
Your 17-year-old just super.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would have been like,
Yeah.
he pulled up and like, and the
Aston Martin car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And so, you know, that one conversation was extremely impactful to us because that kind of led us to look at what we wanted to do more than just money. So then we kind of let go of the whole idea of doing the landscaping, which that would have worked. I think we probably would have built a 6-figure business out of that, and we probably would have just been really in our ego about that because we were like 17.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then we
you're
would have
like-
been like caught up in materialistic stuff even more.
like
and
no one can
Yeah.
tell me what to do when I'm 17. When I was 17, I was thinking about like Willie was saying earlier, like the football game we're gonna play Friday night, you
Yeah.
know, or like trying to pass my, you know, algebra 2 test, or I don't know what, or my pre-cal, I don't know, whatever.
yeah,
Not
yeah. Actually, I was 18. I just turned 18 because that was the summer after I turned 18. And I remember why I waited till I was 18, because I was able to tell my mom, I was like, I'm 18 now. I'm going to Florida.
Okay.
I'm going to go to this thing. And
So wait, so was Chris homeschooled with you too?
no, he went to Bryant.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to public school. He hated it. We called it day prison.
Because I bet he was learning so much more
Absolutely.
on his
Yeah.
own that, like,
Yeah. Well, and he, like, he was that kid that would tell his counselor, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to own a Lamborghini, and
yeah.
yeah, anything that you're going to try to get me to do, I'm not going to do. So just you're wasting your time.
Right, yeah.
And she would be like, you need to be more realistic, Chris. And he'd be like, no.
If you know people's telling you to, like, you got to be realistic or you're too crazy, then you know you're onto something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, let's see, businesses. So, we got back to Arkansas.
Arkansas.
And
And the land of opportunity.
And the land of opportunity. Yeah. And like we literally, whenever we got back, we were just like, our jaws were down, just looking it around and going like, this place is so small and everybody's so broke here. Like, what the because like
Yeah.
if you drive around and like whenever one of the places that we went to was where Pejman lived, and it was in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah.
One of the wealthiest places in America.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
essentially like Florida's Beverly Hills, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go down there and it's like a Taco Bell is like, I don't know, it's just so nice. Like, everything's so nice.
I
over
thought you were
there.
gonna say it's so expensive.
Well, I mean, that too, for sure. But I mean, you go to a mall down there and they've got Rolls Royces sitting in the mall as show
Like
cars.
it's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And just like, there's Gucci stores.
We
and
got the
just-
Millie Reacher store, right? The other stores for Millie Reachers, I don't know.
And so, we got back and it was just like, wow, like there's so much more out there, and that culture shock. It was a culture shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's weird. I actually have some trauma like tied to that time period though, because like part of me, I had some good friends back here, and so part of me like was very judgmental at the time, and so I actually cut a couple people out of my life that I kind of regret cutting out.
Oh, really?
That I was good friends with.
Yeah.
But that was my ego telling me that I was better than other people.
Mm.
Yeah. So that I do regret. Shout out to Rachel. Love you, girl.
We're still thinking about you.
She's never gonna listen to this podcast. It's fine. And
maybe like one day, like in 5 years, she's just like,
stumbles across.
Yeah,
this.
I
Like,
don't. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wall of Friends podcast. Oh, Bradley, I think I know him.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's the one with one hand. So I'm working on my billionaire laugh. No, it's not gonna work. So we got back to Arkansas, and then we were like, we're gonna do something huge. We're gonna start a movement, and we started a company that was gonna be called Rise, and it was gonna be spelled RYZE, and it was gonna be like rise above, whatever it's got you have going on,
Yeah.
and like rise above, average, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, like strive for something, like
Right.
be something.
Right.
Rise above. And we kind of fucked around with that for a little bit, and at the time we didn't have any idea what we were going to be doing. And we were going to do t-shirts, and we somewhere out there we have this ugly t-shirt there was a black t-shirt and it had this like red ugly font logo that said RYZE on it. I wish I had that t-shirt still. But we ended up dropping the name Rise. And we did that because I remember this very vividly. Me and Chris were walking around in the Target in Bryant.
Right. Yeah.
And we would read in Barnes & Noble and study and journal and meditate. And then we'd walk over to Target and just walk around because we'd get like so tired of sitting still, and then we'd go back and do it and like keep reading. So we were walking around in Target one day, and Chris just like stops in the middle of the aisle, and he's like, "Holy shit, bro, I've got it!" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, I've always wanted to have a license plate that said Limitless on it. And I was going to do it like without the eyes in it. That way it could fit on the license plate because it can only have 7 characters. And he was like, we should change the name of the business to Limitless. And I was like, bro, yeah, we're doing that. And so then we started making T-shirts and all of that. We actually had a couple good runs of, having T-shirts. And that summer we sold about 400 T-shirts in Central Arkansas area. Yeah, we were just like, at that point we were heavily going to the gym. And like we were just like putting out content, posting content, trying to help people, and just really trying to start a movement. And we ended up just like selling T-shirts online and to a lot of people that were local too, mostly local people.
Yeah, that's cool.
We would have like gym takeovers where we'd have like 10 people in like LA Fitness all wearing a Limitless shirt at one time. And
really?
Shit. It was really fucking cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Those are good times. And, met a lot of good friends during that time period as well, that I'm still good friends with to this day. And so Limitless, as its first form almost, was a T-shirt company and a movement. And, eventually Chris and I kind of started growing apart a little bit because I ended up getting with Michaela and just, naturally, like we fall in love with somebody, like you're going to go be with that person more and you're going to spend time with the rest of your friends less and all that. And, we kind of just put Limitless on the back burner, and Chris was working at LA Fitness, being a personal trainer, and I was working at Barnes & Noble and Starbucks, I think. And, he started dabbling with drop shipping, and me and Michaela started, doing personal training. But we were doing like freelance personal training and like online training and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And it was only it wasn't a whole lot longer after that we actually started meal prepping. And then while me and Michaela were like busting our butts in the kitchen, like sweating off all day. Chris is over here like sitting in his freaking apartment, like just scaling his stores up, like making a ton of money. And we were like, that's cool, like hell yeah.
So how come you didn't be like, hey, why don't you teach me your ways? And you decided like, what made you like keep going with what you have rather than just like investing the money you already had into something, into a different business that you can see the results?
A few different things. For one, it was ego. A big part of it was ego because I didn't want to. I wasn't at a place at the time where I could look at my little cousin and be fully happy for him making more money than me because I wasn't hanging out with him. I was hanging out with my girlfriend. And I felt like, now that I'm not hanging out with him as much, he's like making more money and he's doing this and that. And so I was like, I don't know, it was a very weird time for me.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, it's like you were growing, evolving as a human,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was definitely a big part of my ego that was loving myself too much and not sharing some love with him,
Yeah.
And, I mean, the other part of it was that me and Michaela both are very passionate about nutrition and food and helping people get not only weight loss, but like seriously, food is not only fuel, but it is the ultimate cure. Like, I fully believe that cancer, almost all obesity, almost all disease in general that we face now that we haven't faced for the past like million years, is fully manufactured by humans, and it is the cause of the type of food that we eat.
Yeah.
And I've run ads talking about that stuff, and I've been banned by Facebook for talking about that type of shit.
Really?
Facebook censors what you do a lot.
Yeah.
And so,
because obviously they're bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger interests, out there, I guess.
Yeah, big food is extremely corrupt.
Yeah.
And they work hand in hand with big pharma.
Right.
And so, anyways.
That's
a whole other podcast, dog.
Because, it also, if you look at European food, there is, food is way healthier, more stricter than
Oh
like
yeah,
the
absolutely.
American food.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But people understand that salt, sugar, fat is extremely addictive for human beings on a scientific level. So we're going to keep pumping as much of that into our food and reaching the pleasure point with food. Look up the pleasure point for food. There's a pleasure point where in a
Really?
lab, almost every single food at every single fast food restaurant and every single package of food now that's processed food
Yeah.
is scientifically engineered in a lab to reach a pleasure point where you are it's they did that. I don't even remember all the history behind it, but this guy discovered this like it was like 80 or 100 years ago,
Yeah.
and he engineered like the pleasure point for food to where it's optimal of like there's like different sensory things that needs to be like sweet, salty, texture, crunch, and
Yeah.
creamy or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is literally designed to give you the ultimate dopamine rush whenever you eat, and that gets you addicted.
That's crazy. I mean, I believe it like 100% because like it makes sense like why Chick-fil-A is so freaking good. Why
Dude, I
ro-
had that last night.
MSGs and sodium and
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
So, you know, that, I mean, like, right, like the fact that I know that, like, I mean, I'm super passionate about food. I'm super passionate
Yeah.
about like helping people understand more about that.
yeah.
And that is, and not even just that, but just like so many things. Like, I don't know, just like I just know that there's a lot of people out there that were, you know, that are in a situation now that I was in, like whenever I was 17 or 18, and they're at a catalytic moment in their life. Catalytic, I don't even know if that's a word, but like
At a critical moment.
there's things in their lives that are going to be catalysts
Yeah.
for them to either go down the path of just kind of following what society tells them to do
Yeah.
versus being an actual critical thinker.
Right.
And yeah, that's I haven't ever really said that out loud, but that makes a lot of sense. Like I really feel like I resonate with that a lot. You
Yeah.
know, just like helping people do that.
Right, and it makes sense because some people are gonna do what, like the rest of the world is doing, and like the path that's already set, and that's okay because that's just they who they are as a person, and there's people who are gonna think outside the box, and we also need a little bit of both those people.
Well, I mean, you're right, and I also kind of disagree with you a little bit in a
Yeah.
way. And here's why. I think that, you know, with the way that society is now and has been for a long time, you know, there's a lot more human interaction across a big scale.
Yeah.
And typically, you know, the people that are like looking for truth, like seeking truth, and are those people that are like outside of the box thinkers, quote unquote, people follow those type of people and they rely on and depend on those people. So a lot of people out there, like, you don't know the truth. You know somebody else's truth that person told you.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're not a truth seeker and you're for lack of better words, follower of these truth seekers, then you are going to be subjected to the world that they want you to see.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that with where we're at, not enough people understand that. You know?
Yeah, and I guess what I meant to say by that, it's like, I went to school, even in college, and I was just walking down with like one of my friends walking from one of our classes to the parking lot, and he's like, I'm so ready to be done with school. I'm ready to be like a worker bee. And I guess that's where I kind of took it as. It's like, I'm ready to just like find a job, get my, stable income in, and then
And
for
if you want
someone
that, like,
to just tell
like
me what I have to do, the things I got to do, and I just put in my hours and do that and not have my own
Yeah, and I mean there's different levels to it, cuz I mean, like, in my opinion, like I have like multiple opinions on this. Like, I think that you're doing the country and you're doing yourself and you're doing the universe a disservice if you're not striving to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
Whatever that is for you.
Right.
But the other side of that is that it is whatever it is for you. So like for me, I want to have a a lot of money, and I want to be an extremely spiritual person, and I want to be, somebody that impacts thousands of people's lives. And, I've got, I guess, like not very common aspirations. And there's people who value time with their friends,
Right,
and they
yeah.
value just like hanging out, having beers, and they value the type of work they do. So they're not really concerned about financial stuff. So like, I'm not even saying like just financial whenever I say like achieving the best version of yourself, but like a lot of people just don't know how to like follow their truth because they weren't ever taught how to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They're like, they know what they want, but they don't know how to pursue it. Sort of like
Yeah.
deal. I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of programming that goes on in our culture. It's crazy because like kind of what I just talked about of as far as like, you kind of see what the truth seekers show you, not necessarily because like, I mean, think about like if you're looking at a map, right? And
Yeah.
you're looking at a map and you're like, oh, okay, this is a accurate representation of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not. It's an accurate depiction of a certain moment in time because that river is going to change course over time. That mountain's going to go away. Everything's going to change. So if you are only relying on what others are giving you and not seeking the truth yourself,
Yeah.
then that can be detrimental.
Yeah. I see what you're saying as well, but like
Yeah.
I think it all depends on what kind of truth do you want to seek.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like what truth is worth seeking? Because there's some truth that's not even worth, I mean, I'm not going to say, like, I don't know what, but I'm sure there's stuff that I could care less for that,
Other people do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are different. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you're saying. Yeah,
So it's
100%.
it just kind of depends on like the person as
Just seek what you're passionate for.
yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
Just like if you're interested in that subject, then sort of like you became knowledgeable about food and the food industry, and
Right.
you know all your backgrounds about that, and you can run circles around people who don't know their stuff because you looked for the truth.
Right.
And there's other people who can have different passions about, like, I don't know, couches, furniture,
Yeah.
where your clothes comes from.
Bro, I love me a good couch.
Yeah, like
We need some.
the energy.
You got
just
a pretty one over there.
yeah. Just different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that's kind of what I mean, right? Like, like everybody just has their own thing, but yeah.
So earlier today we were talking and we asked you what your last name was, and you said you were gonna change it because it was something meaningful to you. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, this is kind of opening up a whole nother story. So do we got time for this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
plenty of time.
So, all right, bet. So, me and Chris hung out a lot, which is my cousin, and we were pretty much best friends for probably 10 years of our lives, and we didn't ever really fit in with anybody else, especially anybody else in our family, because like I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but like we were not this part, but like we were into like fashion a lot. So like we would dress really nice. We'd wear like button down shirts and skinny jeans and like wingtip shoes and stuff like that. And like a lot of our family being
Off-white.
in Saline County, a lot of our family being in Saline County was just kind of like, we're not really sure about them. They're like really weird and really different. And there's like this is what I was gonna say. I was kind of embarrassed to admit. There was at one point where like my parents didn't ask me if I was gay, but like at one point I caught my mom and my aunt talking about if me and Chris were gay. And so I was just like, nah, you ain't got to worry about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, we were very, very much different from like a lot of our family and a lot of our, just people around us, man. And so, we kind of, talked about starting this store at one time. and we were gonna call it like a Name of Gray. We just thought that was a really cool name, like,
Yeah.
and it would be like a really high class, like men's clothing store. So like,
Right.
it'd be like, you know, go in there and buy a $3,000 suit and get a Rolex and that type of stuff. you
Yeah.
know? Have you ever seen Kingsman Secret
Yeah.
Service?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like their back
Oh,
area,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a bespoke store like that.
Yeah, they're
and
the
then-
suit store or whatever. Yeah,
and you
yeah.
sell like the guns out the back.
Yeah.
No. But like, yeah, so like that type of vibe. And, you know, it was like a very clear, like, I don't know, we had a vision for it. We didn't ever pursue it though.
Right, yeah.
But around that time, we kind of talked about how, like, you know, Chris's last name was Waller and he never even met his father. So like he doesn't have any like ties to his name.
Right.
And for me, I'm actually the last person in my family tree that can continue the Stillman name. So I have the opportunity to change my entire family tree.
Right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me,
So what is it, Stillman?
Stillman. Yeah, it's
Stillman.
Stillman.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what my name is currently. And you know, for a long time, whenever we were younger, like me and Chris would talk a lot about how, you know, it's not that we didn't like our family or didn't love or care about our family, but like we just wanted to like start a dynasty, right? So we were like, let's fucking change our names to something that we're proud of, and like we're just gonna build it into something. And so
Yeah.
we both were like, we're gonna change our last name to Gray, and
Yeah.
we're gonna spell it Grey, because, you know, it's so much better than Gray. But and so, you know, we talked about that for a long time, and then that's something that I've always kind of just had in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And especially now, real quick about Chris, I don't think I've talked about this on, you know, the camera or on the mic, but he got really successful with drop shipping.
Yeah.
I mean, within his first year and a half, he bought a Jaguar F-Type
Yeah.
R, and he had that thing souped up. And he also 5 months later bought a Lamborghini Huracan, and he got the white one, and he got the carbon fiber trim pack, and he also had it tuned, and he had custom exhaust put on it. So he spent like $380,000 on this car.
Yeah.
And anyways, that was a big motivation for me. But so he became super successful, at least, you know, well, he became super successful materialistically, but Chris was an oddly spiritual person.
Yeah.
And he had a gift for helping people.
Yeah.
It's like, seriously, he, like, his YouTube channel, he started sharing how he was doing drop shipping, and he helped thousands of people get out of stuck jobs and shit like that.
Right. Yeah.
So he made a lot of an impact as well, and really proud of that guy. But he actually passed away in January of 2020. He had an overdose, and, you know, the autopsy report said that, you know, it was an overdose of, I believe it was hydros, but we don't think that he was actually taking hydros, like, just to take drugs. Like,
Yeah.
he had a broken foot, and apparently whenever he was taking the hydros, like, his body just built up a natural a natural intolerance to it,
Yeah.
and it just, like, his body couldn't process it for whatever reason, and so it killed him, and he died. And I got a call one day whenever I was in the kitchen, and it was like one of my other cousins, and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, are you standing up right now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm cutting chicken right now." And I was like, "Let me wash my hands real quick." And she was like, "You need to hurry." And we like, I was like, okay, you know, whatever. And so, like, I wasn't thinking anything of it, and I stepped out of the kitchen, and she was like, "Are you alone?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "We just found Chris's body in his apartment."
Just crazy.
Wow.
And I was just like, no. Like, no. What are you talking about?
You didn't want to
No.
believe it?
Yeah. And finally, like, we talked for a little bit, and I just like, dude, I've never, like, just had such a strong surge of, like, emotion, like, running through my body. But, like, dude, that was, like, fucking screaming and crying at the same time, just like crazy shit. Like, I was so fucked up about that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so with him passing, that kind of is a tribute to him in a way of, you know, the whole like the Gray last name. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and just change and
Start something new.
yeah, just start something new.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, give myself something to really be proud of. Not that I'm not proud of my current family, but
Just
I
how
just-
you and Chris were so close.
yeah, we were really close, and we talked about that for a long time. And it honestly, like, I've been getting into, you know, spirituality a lot more, and I'm learning how to listen to my intuition, and intuitively, I feel like that's the right thing to do. So I'm just gonna go for it.
Good stuff, man. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing so much on this podcast.
I'm sure there's a part 2 to this.
So
'cause
when's part 2 coming?
This is a full-on podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thanks for having me. This is seriously, like, this might sound weird, but like, I've learned a lot about myself by doing this.
No,
because
yeah.
I don't get an opportunity to just talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for
sure,
sure,
dude.
I'm glad you came out here. And,
So
you know,
this has been awesome. We're
You're
doing this again for sure.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
more than welcome to come again, and just send any last words of advice you want to share to the listeners or audience, whoever may be listening to this.
Yeah. So who like, what type of audience do you guys have?
Oh, that's a good question.
I
Well,
think it's
between
between like 18
To,
year
like-
olds to like 27.
no, well, it's between 18 and like 40. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Y'all need to learn who y'all are speaking to.
Well, yeah, probably. I've seen that. I guess it just depends on like the episodes. If it's like guys, it's mostly like guys who listen
Yeah.
to our podcast.
Do y'all have any way of like looking at the data on that?
Yeah,
do, yeah.
we do. Yeah,
Y'all should track that.
yeah,
Y'all should track that, because if you can figure out like a specific problem that a
Right.
specific part of your audience needs help with,
mm-hmm.
and then what you can do is like speak on that problem more and help those people with that specific problem. And then you can say, okay, we know that this problem is going to be solved by our podcast, and it's this age group and this gender and this,
Right,
and this,
yeah.
this and that. And then you can go and say, okay, let's target these people.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
like target. That sounds really bad saying that.
Yeah, no,
I
what?
hate
No,
mar-
no,
I hate-
no,
I
no. I
hate
mean,
marketing
no.
terms, right?
Yeah,
But like, you know, just like you can find ways to reach those people is what I'm
right.
trying to say.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I guess he gave us the word of advice.
Yeah, gave us advice.
rather.
Considering we don't know exactly what the demographic here is.
Right. Yeah.
I'll just say that, let's see, what's a really...
I'm gonna say something like personal that you learn, you know, in your life that, you know, would help whoever maybe listen to this,
Okay.
regardless of like the demographics. I guess that's just.
It's hard to boil it down.
Yeah, 'cause we talked about so much.
Yeah, we talked about a lot, but also like it's hard to boil down all the lessons, right?
I think his marketing head got into it when you said who's your audience.
I really did. Dude, I swear, I really have a passion for that. And I mean,
Yeah.
if y'all need help with that, I got you. I'm thinking about doing like social media marketing stuff. Not really like an agency, but like I want to put out content like that
Yeah.
and like just help people like you who are like actually trying to do some cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Okay, Dr. Seuss, right? I know he's getting canceled right now, but I love me some Dr. Seuss. I think that there's a lot of wisdom there. I really wish I had my journal because I know the exact quote that I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to give up until I figure it out.
Sure, you can look it up on.
I got it. I got
Okay,
it.
got it.
Yeah, so Dr. Seuss, be who you are and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah. And that'll kind of...
Repeat it again.
Okay, so be who you are,
Mhm.
right? So be your true self.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And say what you feel. So stand up for
Right.
and don't feel bad, basically, because those that mind and,
Yeah. They.
you know, talk your back don't matter to you.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
And those that matter and those people that are like actually there for you and actually supportive and actually pushing you to be better,
Yeah.
those people matter.
Right.
So it's kind of like a, you know, encouragement to be who you are and say what you feel, but also pay attention to the important people in your life.
Right. Yeah.
cut the people out that.
Well, and and the important people are gonna tell you, like
I'm gonna tell you guys that y'all need to work on, or like what did I say just a second ago?
our
We're
marketing,
talking about
basically,
marketing.
or yeah,
Like understanding your demographic,
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
understanding the problem, right,
Right, yeah.
and then being the solution,
Right, yeah.
Like I feel like y'all need to work on that.
yeah,
but
you're probably
I
right.
care about you guys, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys and be transparent.
No, yeah,
No,
for
yeah.
sure, yeah.
So
I mean, we're just right now. We're just
We're just starting it, but I mean, that's
Dude,
something good.
hey,
to
I'm
listen
so
to.
glad to be here from the beginning. dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
I'm excited. So,
Well, man, we appreciate you being
Yeah.
on it for sure. It was a lot of fun.
dude, this
Getting
has been a
good
lot
to
of
know
fun.
Yeah,
you.
it was
Yeah.
it was almost a half an hour. It didn't feel like a half an hour. It's ridiculous, Liz. But thank you so much
Like we
for
said, I'm sure there's gonna be a part 2 because
Yeah.
there's so
There's
much to
gotta
talk
be,
about.
Yeah. Dude, we gotta get like a group of people together too and have like a group discussion sometime. I know some people that would y'all get along with real well.
yeah.
I'll
Sounds
have a lot of
good.
I'm
fun.
excited for it, man.
All right.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
thank you guys for listening. You guys can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, video form on YouTube and Facebook. And thank you so much for subscribing. Oh, wait. One more thing.
Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to you about meal prepping or just talk to you about anything, what's
Mhm.
the best way they can reach out to you?
So okay, a couple different things. I don't. Okay, yeah, I did just change it. Instagram is the Bradley Gray, so it's the Bradley. I'm sure you can figure out how to spell Bradley, and then Gray, so Grey. And I'm not really super active on social media right now,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely down to help anybody that wants to reach out to me and talk to me. Like
Yeah.
1000% open
Right.
to that. And I'm super excited to be able to post about this. Like this is something that I feel really strongly about, and I want to support you guys.
Well, appreciate
Appreciate
that.
it, man.
I want to start having more conversations like this, so I
Yeah.
definitely am going to use this content as well.
Awesome. Thank you
So-
so much. Yeah.
Heck
So
yeah.
if anything, we're just gonna type it down on the description below, and you can look it up and see where you'd be the best place to reach them. And like I
Yeah.
said, just follow us on Instagram.
Audio form will come out on Mondays and video forms on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And just
That's awesome.
Be
I'm
ready
excited-
for it,
I'm excited
man.
to like re-listen to this and just be like, wow, I sound like an idiot.
No, that's all good. Thank you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.